kind of game do you think it's going to be tomorrow? Do you think it's going to be cagey, or is it going to be two teams just going all out for the win?
No, I think that both teams are tactically always well prepared, and both teams have a brilliant opportunity to get to a semi-final. So, for certain, I think both countries will be looking to try and win the game. How you approach that, it's 95 minutes or maybe a bit more, and you've got to get every part of that game right. But there's some very good players on show, and a full house. It's a great game to be involved in.
What did you learn from playing against Croatia in the World Cup semi-finals in Russia?
Well, we've obviously played them twice in the last few months, and we know their style of play. We know their preferences, the areas that they build up. We know areas that we think we can try to exploit. And it's two really evenly matched teams. Both games after 90 minutes have been draws. I think there's been periods in both of those matches where each team's had the upper hand. So we've got to put all the things together tomorrow and make sure we back up our last few performances, which have been really healthy, and finish the calendar year from an England perspective on a real high.
Do you think you're a better side now than you were 4 months ago in Moscow?
I think we've learned with every experience that we've had, and we've added more depth to the squad in terms of some more young players emerging, more competition for places. We've had a slight change of system, which has also added something different, so we've got some flexibility in how we can play. So we're always improving, and I think in those 5 matches that you've seen since the summer, what we haven't done is sat on our laurels and said, okay, we're happy with what we did at the World Cup, and that's it for the year. We'll look forward to the European Championships. We've wanted to keep improving, and I think the players have shown that mentality as well.
The permutations tomorrow could be quite complicated. What have you told the players about what they need to do tomorrow? Have you gone through all the different scenarios of what it would mean?
No, we want to win the game. Simple as that. I'm not concerned with anything else. I don't see us, if it's 0-0 with 5 minutes to play, keeping the ball in the corner to try and stay in the group. We want to try and go to a semi-final, and we've got to do everything we can to make that happen.
You might have a slight advantage tomorrow just because Croatia played in such a tough game on Thursday night.
I don't think it works that way. In the summer they had extra time twice, and people were saying similar things. They're a team who have tremendous spirit and physical resilience. And similarly, we went to Spain last month, and we'd played in Croatia. Spain had a friendly in Wales where they'd rested a lot of the team, and that didn't play out that way either. So you have to perform at your highest level and make sure that we're ready for the game, and take care of our own performance. It's not about what advantage we may or may not have. It counts for nothing on the day if you don't perform.
Does it make your job a tiny bit easier that even Rakitic is missing?
Well, he's a top player with brilliant experience, but they also have very good replacements. Vlasic came on the other day. Kovacic was on the bench, so their midfield is very strong. We've got to play extremely well to try and create against them, and play without the ball with really good detail and pressure to limit what they're capable of doing.
Has it been even tougher to pick a side for tomorrow, considering how well some of the players played on Thursday night? Is it going to be difficult to leave some of them out tomorrow?
Yeah, it's becoming increasingly difficult to pick a squad and increasingly difficult to pick a team, and that's a really good sign, because we have competition for places. Some young players who've emerged since the summer, and even with missing Kieran Trippier, Harry Maguire from the squad from the summer in particular, young players have come through and done really well in those positions and in other positions. So the only way to avoid complacency and keep driving performances, I believe, is to have that competition. And the team that played the other night did exceptionally well, given their lack of experience and the fact that we'd only had a couple of days to work together. And equally, they were really well supported by the players who didn't play. And that feeling of togetherness and spirit is what we have to take into tomorrow. Croatia, we know, have that. We have to more than match that and play with real quality to win the game.
Last question before we move on to Gareth.
Just injury-wise, is everyone fully fit? Based on Joe Gomez and Luke Shaw?
Yeah, everybody's trained today, so we always have to assess everything after training, but everybody is trained. So at the moment we've got full squad to pick from.
Gareth, it must be, in terms of physically assessing what team you have, a big advantage that you have been able to rotate your squad ahead of this game.
I think, given the number of games our players have had and the short summer, it was important for us to be able to prioritise games from our perspective and make sure that loading wise we had some players who'd missed some football or some players who were coming back from injuries that we wanted to manage through the game the other night. So across this 4 or 5 month period we've had the players a lot, and we've put big demands on them, so this week it's been good to balance that off, but that only becomes important if we play with the right energy and tempo and tactical awareness in tomorrow's game.
And you're probably ahead of this game not want commentators speculating that Croatia could be more tired after they used that as an incentive at the World Cup.
No, I think they've got some outstanding athletes and they've got a very resilient mentality. So we know the pride they have in playing for their country. We've seen that firsthand. We saw it again the other night in Spain with the late winning goal and the celebrations that followed. But we're also proud. You know, we shouldn't lose the game because we're less proud of playing for our country, because that wouldn't be the case. So in the end we have to play well, and we have to tactically be right, be in the right positions with and without the ball, and make sure that we make the chances that we create.
Do you think it's fair to say that there is a positive rivalry between the two squads?
Yeah, I think we've proved ourselves across the year to be two of the best teams in the world this year. So at the moment, Croatia have that advantage that they beat us in extra time in the semi-final. We've got huge respect for them, their players, their coach, their mentality. But also we've got belief that we're improving and we're learning all the time, and people can see how hungry we are to succeed. So we've got great motivation ahead of tomorrow's match.
Okay, pass the mic along the row there to the gentleman.
Thank you. Stipe Antonijević, Nova TV from Croatia. Mr. Southgate, even before the semi-finals World Cup, Croatia weren't the happiest opponent for England. Croatian fans who are traveling to Wembley are calling for a 2007 repeat when Croatia beat England 3-2. Slaven Bilic was the manager, which kicked out England from the Euro 2008. How well do you remember that game, and are you afraid it could happen again?
Well, I remember the game. I remember Slaven having a fantastic impact with the team, and some of the players that are still playing for them were around at that time. So that's why we have so much respect for a lot of those senior players in particular. But that game has no bearing on tomorrow's game. We have a completely new team, completely new mindset. We're trying to break barriers down and play in a different way, different style, and we're getting better all the time. So we're looking forward to the challenge tomorrow.
What do you see as Croatia's weakest and what as Croatia's strongest link today?
Well, we know that we've talked already about some of the midfield players, their experience, their quality, their experience of big matches. They have strong attacking wingers in likes of Rebic or Perisic, Kramaric if he plays wide. So they have lots of strengths, and we have to be prepared to to defend really well as a team, not just as a back four. And then, like any team, there are always areas you look to try and exploit. So we've got to make sure that our attacking players are of a high level. We've got some really good attacking players who are in good form, looking forward to the game. And it promises to be. I'm really excited by the game because I think it's going to be a really good one to watch.